I wonder what the world would look like if all of us collectively got to do for a living the very things that we are passionate about, love to do, are naturally gifted at, essentially getting to do for a living the very same things that we were born to do. And that's what I want to talk about today, getting to do for a living the thing that we love. So, with that said, let's talk. I think that if we were to take a group of people and ask all of them, hey, if you could do anything for a living, anything, and money were no object, you didn't need to make a specific income, what would that thing be? And I think that most people will mention, if not everybody, would mention an occupation, would mention something that has nothing to do with what they are currently doing for a living today. And that to me is bizarre because that should not be the norm. Because that's another thing. To know that somebody is doing something for a living that they dislike or that they just don't necessarily feel fulfilled in, we've normalized it. We're like, well, that's just part of life. And conversely, we find it very rare and like, what? You just have those kind of like what moments when we come across somebody who is doing something for a living that is fulfilling to them, that they love to do, where they get up to go to work. And yes, it's work and they're going to be busy and it's part of life, but they're not dreading to go to work. In fact, sometimes they actually look forward to go to work. And those people, we find them to be kind of weird. They're an anomaly in today's society. And yes, I am speaking from the vantage point of being in a country that it's part of the Western culture. And unfortunately, it is a very capitalistic country. And the economy and the way things are set up and are designed to be, from the economy standpoint, has really forced a lot of people into roles and jobs that they were never meant to be in. Never meant to be in. And it is sad to think that most people will die not having fulfilled a potential, not having fulfilled what they were designed to do. Because it is important to fulfill what we were meant to do in those dashes. Our birth year and our death year. The dash in between matters a whole lot. Matters a whole lot. And I think a part of this, and I've done it. I've done it. It all starts to happen with the obligations that we have to fulfill. We got to pay a bill. We have to, we have to support our families. Hey, I got kids. I got a spouse. I got a mortgage. I got, da 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 da. And we end up a lot of the times accepting jobs and accepting roles because they pay more. I got to achieve that extra, $1.50 an hour. I got to achieve those extra $5,000 a year. And yes, it's great if you're wealth building. Those things do matter, but do not allow that be the end all be all. So here's the thing. Us humans, we tend to have three motivators. Now, one is not better than the other. They're just different motivators. For some of us, and I'm one of those, I'm a purpose driven person. If what I am doing for work, if what I am doing as a project, as a side hustle, whatever we want to call it, a side business, if it doesn't have a purpose, where it is impacting lives, where it is impacting the world, where it has meaning, I'm not going to find it fulfilling. It's not going to be fulfilling for me. So for that reason, I tend to gravitate towards things that are, nonprofit based or that are people oriented, that are really meant to reach lives, that are meant to, push people to their next level. get people healed, get people to really step into what they were born to do. I'm just a natural motivator. I'm a purpose girl. Now, there are people who are title driven until they see doctor or manager or have a bunch of acronyms at the end of their names. They're not going to be and feel fulfilled. And that's okay. I personally could care less. You can give me the fanciest title, but again, if it doesn't have a purpose, if I don't find it purposeful, it's not going to be fulfilling to me. And then there's a third motivator, and that is money. There are people that are like, hey, I have to make six figures. I have to be the first millionaire in my family. And again, those things are great. But there are people that are money driven. And it is okay to default to your natural state, but we also have to be very careful to not lean one way more than the other. I myself tend to do that where I'm like, I'm all purpose. And it's like, girl, you got to remember the money too. Okay. And there are people where it's like, oh, money, money, money. And it's like, hey, you got to think about purpose too. So you kind of have to balance it out a little bit. And I think for me, I'm in a season where I have started to say no to things that do not align with my natural giftings, abilities, and goals. Even if it looks pretty, even if it looks nice. I've had roles that have been I'm not gonna say offered to me, but like I've had senior leadership where they'd be like, hey, this position's coming out, this role is available. And as I'm reading through it, I mean, it would look great on paper. The title sounds great. Okay, it's an extra 5 grand a year. But as I'm reading the job description, I'm like, this does not sound like something that I will be fulfilled in. It doesn't sound like something that aligns with my natural giftings and abilities and the goals that I have. I can see this being something that will drain the life out of me. And it sounds crazy because it's like, girl, why don't you go for the extra 5 grand a year? Well, I know that I'm going to be miserable. So what I have opted to do is a lot of times is saying no, no, thank you. And instead stay put. And that's where I'm at. I'm like, I'm staying put, but that's okay because until the Lord opens another door or leads me in a different direction, I'm not moving. And what I'm doing with that spare time is doing the things that are within the purpose, doing the things that are in alignment with what I know that I'm ought to be doing. There is great power in being able to say no, because that's the thing. In our culture here in the Western Hemisphere, we have been, especially us millennials, we've been lied to tremendously. We've been told, go to college and get the degree. You're going to find success and fulfillment in that. Find you a good job and be there 40 plus years and retire from it. In fact, we've been told, I have been told before, get you a government job. And it's like, well, we've proven all of those things to be false. It's been proven that a degree doesn't necessarily get you to success. Most people aren't operating in the area or practicing in the area of their degree. Very like usually the people that are, they're either in finance, they're doctors, or they're lawyers. Like that's it. And obviously, some teachers do. We're not going to get into that. But yeah. And it's been proven as well that staying in one job for 40 plus years, employers can get rid of you at any moment. Doesn't matter if you've served at their company for 20, 30 years. They're really not going to care for you as a human being at all. And listen, let's not even talk about government jobs. We're seeing it with government shutdowns, layoffs. I used to be a government worker back in the day. Loved the job, but I lost it because of immediate budget cuts. That is just the name of the game. So, and I think that the focus needs to go back to doing what we are meant to do. And I think if you don't know what you are meant to do, firstly, I think it varies by season. I think it varies by season as we grow, as we evolve. We're meant to do different things. We're all multi-talented. But I think if we walk in line with our natural giftings and think about, hey, what could I do for work that will bring me joy? And for instance, for me, I love to write. I love to encourage people. I love to speak. I also know that I have a natural gifting in admin. Like I have a gift of administration. I also know that I'm a very analytical problem solving person. Those are all different giftings. Now, it doesn't mean they're all going to operate within the same role. That doesn't mean they're all going to operate at the same time. In fact, I was speaking to somebody a little while ago and was telling them that, I don't think that we're supposed to use all of our giftings at the same time. And I think about King David in the Bible. Now, this is a man who was a shepherd, so has agricultural experience, so to speak. He knows how to work the field, he knows how to tend to animals. Dare I say, maybe he has some entrepreneurial skills. With that many animals, they're bound to make some money. He is familiar, he is a musician, he knows how to play the harp. He also knows how to write music. He's a songwriter, also assuming he's a singer as well. He's a warrior, not just because he killed Goliath, but he led armies. And not just the regular armies. I believe it's in First Chronicles. We can see some of his exploits. He led an elite group of soldiers. They were called the 30. And then they had a super elite group of soldiers called the Three. And if you read some of their exploits that those people did, that David led them, they're like, man, this dude was the dude. And he was the king. So there are multiple abilities that he had, but I don't think for a sec that he was employing all of his abilities at the same time. In fact, in the conversation with this person, I referenced Psalms 42. It's a psalm where David said, hey, I remember these things and how I used to lead the people, and I'm paraphrasing, I used to lead the people, the congregation, into the house of the Lord with worship. And he's describing his time as a worship leader, thereby letting me know that he wasn't always a worship leader. He wasn't always leading the congregation into worship. So there was a time and a season, and there is a time and a season for everything, as we know in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And it's okay. You may have multiple abilities, but this is why in Proverbs 3:5, it reminds us that we can make our plans, but it is God who aligns our path. You just have to walk in the direction. Just get walking. Start operating in those abilities. And when you are out of the purpose, God will straighten out your path. He will lead you. But it is time to start saying no to things that do not align with who we know that we are wired to be. And I'm telling you, I think our lives will be radically changed. So I challenge you today to meditate and think about the things that make you feel alive, things that you're naturally good at. And I challenge you to say no to the things that do not align with who you are. And that's it. But thank you again for staying here yet again for another episode of Let's Talk. Till next time.